All right, so I haven't uploaded a sketchbook tour in like a year and a half. Zero guesses as to why. It's because I haven't been practicing very much, which is kind of ironic because I went from filling 4 sketchbooks in a month to one sketchbook in 16, I guess. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. Now, I haven't done a full flip through of this, so my reactions will be just as surprised as your guys' are, and since this took so long to complete, there will be a lot of distinct stages that go on in this sketchbook. So bear with me. There will be nothing concise about what's going on in this book. So first one was a cabin. It seems probably working on perspective. If I had to guess for past me, you'll see a day one here. You're gonna see this a lot because I start a lot of like 30-day challenges in this sketchbook and then just never finish them and then just don't upload the videos. So that's cool. Yeah, still working on perspective. There are landscape format pictures in this book, and when they're actually worth looking at, I will flip the page, but for that, let's not bother. I can actually grab it right here. I picked up a book called Perspective Made Easy, which I didn't read. I just started drawing pictures from the book, and that's what a lot of these are going to be. Yeah, they're really bad, and I don't think they get better because I never ever practice perspective. I went on a thing with point of view drawings. I drew this in a car, so mind the shaky lines, but that didn't start until a little later, if I can remember correctly, because we actually started with another day one, which is just a lot of gesture's not the right word, construction, that weird box construction I was practicing. Which, yeah, admittedly doesn't look very good, but honestly, if I were to do it now, I would probably be even worse because I have not practiced this probably at all since whenever I finished these. So yeah, not great, but it is very good practice. Now we start getting a little more interesting. We're getting a little more shape going on here. I'm sorry for this horrible lighting, by the way. I actually quite like that's quite flowy. That's quite cool. I don't hate it. Obviously, these are with reference. We drew a genuinely horrifying cat, and I think this is where the first of our large breaks come from. Like, I think after drawing this, I wouldn't be surprised if I took like 3 months off, because you'll see no more day one for the challenges stuff. Another attempt at a cat. This was for a YouTube short. I saw a cool fisheye perspective trick, and it didn't work for me because I don't practice, but that's okay. Here we're back with the point of view. You can't see the details on camera, but don't worry, even with details, it doesn't look much better. All of these being in landscape is actually quite inconvenient for me. See if I can get this one a little closer. They are improving quite a bit, considering how little I've ever actually drawn them, and problem is they will never look as cool. Even if the drawing is getting better, they'll never look as cool if you don't have that much to draw, which I really didn't for these because I don't touch grass, so all of these are just like various perspectives of my room. Anyways, I wanted to try colored pencil, and I attempted to draw Sabrina Carpenter. That looks like shit. Anyways, this was no reference. It was a TikTok challenge. I don't know that it turned out good, but it was fun. These were also no reference, if that wasn't obvious. That's really bad. That's like, no, they're both really awful, actually. Let's not flatter ourselves here. This was pen only. I do like pen only occasionally. It's fun. Didn't turn out that good proportions wise, but it's cool. I think this was supposed to be Andrew Garfield, honestly. Didn't work out. Yeah, now we have a few essentially thumbnails of cats because they're very small. But I think I just decided that I wanted to draw cats. I think this was also for a YouTube short. This is actually quite decent. Very low res, not very much detail, but I do like it. Yeah, then I had some acrylic markers, and I opted to just paint with them. Obviously, I didn't have that many color options, so color-wise, it didn't turn out awesome, but it is kind of fun for what it is. I don't know what this is, but hopefully it was no reference. Random portrait study, I guess you could call it. I'm not really sure. It didn't turn out bad, but not great either. Real people isn't really my style. And then, okay, so we've got a car because I wanted to learn how to draw cars, and we have cats because I went on a string of YouTube shorts where I was just drawing a cat every day. Awful, kind of cute, really weird proportions, kind of cute, but not well done. Same there. Do keep in mind most of these were with reference, if I can remember correctly. Hear that peak there, beautiful. Bad, better, kind of weird. really bad. Really, really bad. Obviously, all of that is dependent because I'm not actually sure what the references look like at this point. Yeah, and then after that, I think we took another multi-month break, and then I got back into drawing, and I just figured I'd do stuff that I was comfortable with. So this was my first one after a few months. Obviously didn't take too long on it, but didn't hate it. I think this looked fine on its own, but then if you compare what it was supposed to be, it's not great. I think this was supposed to be the main character in the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. And yeah, it doesn't really look like him at all, but that's fine. Next day, I drew Luffy from One Piece. This was very loose, as you can see. There was no hard pencil pressing here, but honestly, it's pretty decent. I went to Florida on vacation and took a few pictures from a car museum. That's what this is, inside of a old engine bay. Looks honestly not good, but not the worst either. So now we're on to the cars. Not good, but I did decide that I wanted to get good at them, and spoiler alert, I don't by the end of this sketchbook, because it's another one of those drawing tangents that I went on that I forgot about. But cars, and it's pretty much mostly cars if I can remember correctly. Random golf swing. Even when I'm practicing something consistently, I usually toss other stuff in there. Yeah, not bad, not awful. His head is really freaking small for some reason. Don't ask me. These are a huge improvement, actually. One of my big problems with drawing vehicles or really anything is I don't like constructing what I call the sculpting method of drawing, which is starting with the roughest thing possible and then like slowly whittling away into a more refined piece. Kind of just do lines. I kind of just do lines is not the quote we need. But yeah, I tried to do the stuff and I just hate it, so I generally stop. Random, no reference I'm not really sure. I probably wanted to try cross hatching, because if you can't tell, it does have hatching in there. It's not just dark. I'm praying that was no reference. This is kind of cute for not being done with an eraser. These are pen only. I'm sure I was just erasing too much during these sketches and simply opted to stop using them for a while. I don't know if it was helping my drawing. This was done with a pencil, but if I was doing no eraser here, I was definitely doing it there, even if I only had access to a pencil. Low-key, the drawings are getting worse, which is totally fine. I'm not that worried about it. These are without an eraser, and I drew a random chicken. Now, this is the last of like the multi-month breaks. From now, it's just like maybe I didn't draw for a week or two, but for the last, I don't know, half of this book or so, I do think I was more consistent, even if not greatly consistent. Yeah, I wanted to try some colored pencil. I thought this was fun. This is obviously from Blue Lock. If you watch anime, I don't much anymore, but I'll probably get back into it. Yeah, this was the first like really high effort in this sketchbook. Took me about less than a day, I think, but it was a lot, and I'm quite stoked with how it turned out. I do think it is quite good, if I do say so myself. Okay, so I actually remember what happened here. I was sketching my cat, but then he decided to move, and then I had to try and just figure it out from there, and it went as well as you can see. Yeah, and then I turned that last one into a TikTok, and then people just started recommending me things to draw, asking me to draw things, and so I did. It was fun to not have to really think about what I was going to draw. I would just do it. This definitely didn't take too long, especially comparatively to the last one, but structurally, it looks quite good, actually. Wow, I really was drawing cars for longer than I expected. They just become a bit of a side note because I'm practicing other stuff with it. More, I don't want to say gestures, but anatomical construction. I'm not going to pretend that's the right word either. I'm also like sick, by the way, so like let's not worry about how I sound too much. Also, we have what is honestly probably my favorite drawing in this book, even though it was quite a while ago. I don't know, I'm just really happy with how it turned out. It's cute. Okay, so I drew some stuff here, and you can't see like any of it because on the other side of it is my first attempt at color, because I got a small box of alcohol markers that I wanted to start playing with. From here on, you're going to see a few colored drawings. Obviously, we have a very limited palette that we were able to draw with here. So we drew that one from request, and then this one from request. The other guy's name was Joker from Persona 5, and then this guy's name was also just Joker, so I think that's the only reason it was recommended. Honestly, even with the lack of skin tones I have, so they look very orange, I do not hate how this looks, especially for how far back this was. More random construction stuff and something a little more in depth. This is definitely a bit more of a scene. Anatomically, he didn't turn out very well, and obviously we still didn't have a great selection of colors, but I don't know, I do think This is quite good for what it is. I would change his face, don't love his hands, and that sword is a little weird. But all in all, I think this was quite fun, and I was definitely proud of it at the time that I drew it. More actual anatomy stuff. They were gestural for sure. This is a portrait of my dad because we were doing a family drawing exercise, which was fun, and I ended up doing some color swatches, like just some test pieces. And then here is probably one of my favorites in the book. This turned out quite nice. I used a ruler for the straight edge of the katana this time, so it doesn't look as shit. This is obviously Rengoku from Demon Slayer. I'm quite happy with how this turned out. And I do believe this test was done with a more extended palette because immediately after I did a few test drawings with this small little tester set of alcohol markers, which I would recommend picking up if you want to give them a shot. I picked up a much bigger set, which I'm not going to grab, but it's like 168 markers or something like that. And I was super excited to just be testing a bit more stuff with color. And then we have the third colored Joker of this sketchbook. This one was from Black Butler at request of my sister, and yeah, I'm super stoked with how this turned out. It actually took me forever because there's so many little different colors that I'm not used to drawing. Like this little bit here, you can see those tiny highlights, and you have to draw them first since alcohol markers can't really layer on top of each other. So I don't know, there was actually quite a bit of detail to shading and all of that stuff. Unfortunately, I chose a very similar color to skin tone, which was quite the unfortunate outcome. But yeah, I actually posted this on the Black Butler subreddit, and I got a lot of updates, so that was fun. Random perspective, and then maybe my favorite in the sketchbook. I mean, I don't know if it's objectively as good as the other one, especially relative to the reference, but I don't know, I do quite like how it turned out. This is Sakura from Windbreaker. This one definitely took me forever as well. I know I erased a lot struggling with the construction because I wasn't fitting him in a page well that you could like tell what he was doing, but I figured it out eventually. Figured I haven't drawn two people in the same frame for quite a while, so I ended up drawing this from, Horimiya, which is probably my favorite romance anime. Maybe Tomo-chan is a girl, but it's tough to say. Yeah, it turned out fine, but her face is a little lifeless, and he looks like a bit of a frog, if I'm being honest. But all in all, I don't think it's bad, and proportionally, it all turned out totally fine. More anatomical stuff. This stuff is actually starting to turn out quite decent. I really need to get a better light. It looks horrible. And this, a huge milestone because I think it's definitely my first colored piece without reference. So not just the colors without reference. This entire thing is drawn without reference, obviously. I mean, it's not perfect. Those glasses are really bad. Those glares don't make a ton of sense. The eyes locationally are fine, but a little small. Mouth is a little goofy, nose is a little off, and as easy as it is for me to cheek this until the cows come home, but I honestly do think it turned out totally fine for what it is, and I'm honestly pretty happy with it. After how bad those glasses were, I went on a string of just drawing a bunch of glasses because I was embarrassed for myself, which I do think is quite key, is practicing things that you're weak at, more stuff from the book. Alright, and then as far as construction of characters is concerned, this is probably the best in the book. I messed up the coloring a little bit in the mouth, but other than that, even the hands turned out quite fine, which, you know, with the correct amount of time, I can draw hands just, like, pretty okay, but it takes a while. I actually have the manga cover that I drew this from, so you can draw your own comparison. Obviously, they don't look the same, but I don't know, you can absolutely see what I was going for, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out, other than trying to experiment with this mouth looking stupid and it not working out. It was one of those things where I started and it looked bad, and then I tried to adjust it and I made it worse. Decided that I need to work on mouths. I wasn't happy with how they were looking. Obviously did those. This was no reference. I kept seeing those like TikTok graffiti art videos that were done with like a pen, and I was just like, I could do that, and I did that. I don't hate how it turned out. Like, that honestly wouldn't be a bad tattoo if you fixed the feet. This is the first of a few unfinished drawings that I like started and just simply lost interest in. I could have erased them, but I didn't. Guess in the comments what book cover that was supposed to be. More gesture stuff. I don't think gesture is quite the right word, because gesture drawing is really its own art form, but also just doing some faces. Working on some hands, again, targeting weaknesses. I suck at hands. Then we randomly draw Dipper Pines from Gravity Falls because I was watching it, and yeah, don't expect a return of the cartoon style. I draw cartoon very rarely, but I don't hate it when I do. The other unfinished drawing in here, this was supposed to be Kiki's Delivery Service, but I was just not getting it to work the way that I wanted to, and it was annoying me, so I just abandoned ship. I actually have the manga cover for this somewhere as well, but I don't really want to grab it. This is just from Maru and Hachi, Cat Companions or whatever it's called. Yeah, I kind of just wanted to draw a couple cats, and my mom requested that I draw Princess Donut from Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I didn't draw that specifically, but I did draw a Persian cat. I don't really draw real life very well, so all things considered, I don't hate how it ended up. This honestly turned out really bad. Not super proud of it. This was supposed to be a Frieren when she's like floating at like the surface of a lake, but without the background. It just looks really, really goofy, but that is okay. Another thing is that I mostly focus on faces, but I couldn't draw the face properly at the scale that I drew this at, so it made things a little harder. And then this is actually the last page of the sketchbook. This is like entirely variant from my style. But my biggest thing is that I don't know, I struggle with following a reference that isn't particularly structured. That's why I do like drawing anime, as it is very hard lines, very easy to follow, but I went with something that was a bit more flowy, and I just had to like abandon ship from reference like relatively quickly just to approach the same art style from the reference, and this was obviously very loosey-goosey and honestly kind of fun. I might draw like this a bit more. I recently started practicing more gestures in a different sketchbook, and I'm trying to follow that same thing of not just being so rigid while I'm drawing. I feel like it messes up expression quite a bit. And that is the end. This I drew well before the end of the thing because I just tossed it at the end of my sketchbook because I knew it wouldn't be there for a long time. This was like I don't know what that is. That's a fucking amoeba. Don't worry about it. Thanks everybody for watching. This shouldn't be my last art video or anything like that. I'm currently working on a different project that I hope you guys will enjoy in the future when it's actually getting made. And I will continue probably uploading book reviews for the time being until that is up. And for now, that'll do it. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.